Most people spend $1 and get $1 back in value. But for us who are on this spiritual path, it often feels that we're spending $100. But let me tell you this, all you need to do is be patient, because that $100 that you invest in yourself, in your spiritual journey, it will grow exponentially. You're going to get back 100,000 in return, or even 1 million in return, while everyone else is still paying just $1 and getting back $1's worth. So don't worry. Don't worry. Just be kind to yourself. Just be patient, and the returns will come. I was thinking the other day, the people that I know who are on this path, and they're not many, probably just one or two others that I know, that I have recently got back in contact with them in what were meaningful coincidences. And we hadn't seen each other for many, many years. There was no need to say things like, oh, hi, what are you doing now? Where are you now? What are you working? I can't be bothered with that kind of conversation anymore. It's such a waste of time. Who cares what I'm doing? You don't care what I'm doing. You're just asking because it's the way people do small talk. So these people that I got back in contact with, they're on the same, well, I can't say same, because each of our paths is so unique. It's a culmination of genetics, life experiences, our soul's blueprint that creates this path, which is unique. But we all understand one thing, and that the spiritual path is more difficult than any job. Why do we do it? We do it because we have seen glimpses of this growth that is exponential. And once you hit that stage where you do see exponential growth, then there is no stopping. It just goes, the momentum will take you. Then it will feel easy because you've done all the hard work. You have pushed this 1,000-pound boulder up the hill, and suddenly it seems as though there is a rope from up there helping you haul it up. Suddenly, the universe and all its heavenly bodies are helping you because you made that first move, because you were willing to do what many others aren't. However, there is one catch. There's one catch that keeps even spiritual people trapped, and that is the pursuit of permanent happiness. You see, when people look at material achievements to gain happiness, on some level they do know that there is no such thing as permanent happiness. They do know that, and that's why they keep chasing for the next hit, from dining at a 1-star Michelin restaurant to a 3-star, from regular holidays to exotic ones, from 1 week to 3 weeks, climbing the corporate ladder, because they do know that happiness is not permanent. And in the same vein, many of us in the spiritual path also went through that, I wouldn't say mistake, but went through that experience where we were seeking happiness through spirituality rather than material achievements, both craving the same thing but with different methods. People who put a lot of importance in material achievements would probably say, if I'm going to be miserable, then I'd rather be crying in my Ferrari. And then some of us on the spiritual path denounce material stuff, material achievements, and say, yeah, I'm miserable and the roof is leaking and I can't afford someone to repair it. Repair it yourself. Learn how to do it. Because, a friend told me once, she said that in living out in the wilderness for so many years, I gave up all the conveniences. And to me, it wasn't a big deal because I had grown used to it. Apart from work, I was working from home. Apart from work, I spent all my time just, I would say, just living. There's no other way to describe it. Living means cleaning and cooking, doing the washing, gardening, pruning the trees, feeding the dogs, taking care of your health, really having to take care of your health because when you live so far away, you have to make sure you're healthy, plus to make sure your dependents are healthy. Basic stuff like that. Repairing things, fixing things and repairing stuff in the house. There's a lot of DIY stuff. And she said to me that nowadays, people in urban areas don't know even the simplest DIY. And that's because they're busy making money. Their one goal in life is to make more money. And the second goal in life is to spend more money. Because if you're so miserable making all this money, you might as well spend it. So the second goal in life is to spend as much money as possible after you have made as much money as possible. But I'll tell you something about living a basic life. And what it did for me is that it taught me not just to repair a burst pipe or to rewire an electrical connection. It didn't so much teach me that. Yes, it did teach me a lot of that because I had to, because no handyman is going to come all the way there, unless I pay them an astronomical sum, which I wasn't prepared to do. But in doing basic things like that, I went through a lot of frustration and anger and sadness and resentment. Like, why do I have to do this on my own? Why? And it taught me a lot about myself. So as I was, say, mending a burst pipe, there was leaking water all over the place and I'm fucking drenched and crying. And I didn't even know which were my tears and which were the pipe water. I learned a lot about myself because I learned that I was impatient. I learned that I was resentful. I learned that I expected other people to make me happy. I expected someone there to help me with this, especially people who made promises. People who made promises that caused me to make certain decisions that I would never have made if they hadn't promised me. You know what I'm saying? So while I am not excusing them or saying that they're blameless, it's a waste of our time and energy to blame them. The net result is, they're not going to compensate you. They're not going to say, oh, I'm so sorry I made an empty promise. Here, let me do everything for you. They're not going to do that. So the only thing we can do is to not just learn it, but really, really feel it in your heart, in your core, that it is nobody's responsibility to make us happy. And it is just our responsibility. And that is really the greatest duty. That is the greatest thing that we can do for ourselves and for the world. If everyone just understood and accepted and even celebrated the fact that we do not expect other people to make us happy. So while I spent all those years blaming and feeling sorry for myself and collapsing into a pile, thinking this is so hard, I came to a point where I did see exponential growth and exponential returns on investment. Now, I didn't know that at the beginning, I wasn't chasing returns, but I just realized that after a while, the returns were much, much more than I expected. And that was solely because I got to know myself better. And when I knew myself better, all the good points, the so-called the bad points, the not so attractive sides, the flaws, the shortcomings, the more I knew myself, the more I began to love myself. You see, I was doing it wrong before that. I thought to love myself, I had to achieve things. If you're a scapegoat, you will completely understand that I can't say most, I don't have the stats, but many scapegoats are overachievers because they were just trained to jump through the next hoop, go over the next bar, which got higher and higher and higher, and it's just unattainable. They were just strung along, and that's why they became overachievers. So it was only when I made peace with the fact that I was an overachiever that I untrained myself from that habit, from that behavior. And because I'm not a professional plumber or a professional electrician, what repairs that I did was good enough. And it trained me to believe that good enough was way good enough. And anything I did to improve the workmanship or the aesthetics of it was just a bonus, was just something that made me even more proud of myself. You see, when we're living in the material world, it's quite difficult because there's always someone doing it for you. So yeah, while we work our fingers to the bone to get more and more and more, it comes to a stage where we get diminishing returns, whereas on the spiritual path, we get exponential growth. Diminishing returns, exponential growth. Which one would you choose? Ways to discover ourselves, ways to know ourselves. And when we know ourselves, we begin to love ourselves. So if you're on a spiritual path, all you have to do is be patient. That's all you have to do. Be patient, be kind to yourself, and you will see returns that you never imagined. But don't wait for it, I shouldn't have told you, right? But no, all you have to do is be kind to yourself and be patient.